Okay, so I guess one thing that we're going to talk about tonight, and this is a little bit more relevant to what we do here, right? We're an actual podcast. And obviously for the viewers at home, if you're listening, then I guess you're not a viewer, but we are live. We do have videos on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and we're going to be adding more platforms. But when we first decided that we were going to start doing video, maybe about a month ago or so, we looked into the different platforms that were available. Obviously, the biggest one is YouTube, because obviously it has the largest market share, and it's an actual behemoth when it comes to video content publishing, if you will. But one thing I noticed was when we took a look at roughly how much revenue we'd be able to make, given certain numbers, I think unless you're actually making videos, you're going to assume that it's going to be kind of big. You hear about these people making millions off of YouTube, but really the people that are making those amounts it's less than 0.1%. It's just like there's only like maybe a handful of them or so. Yeah. And as time goes on, YouTube has such a big stranglehold that they can kind of dictate things. You saw this with what's his name, Logan Paul. There's a big controversy about him having videos that was showing dead corpses in Japan, and YouTube, I think, put him on suspension. And with Alex Jones has 2 strikes. If he gets a 3rd strike within like 3 months, he gets kicked off of YouTube.
Oh, man.
And obviously that's a man that makes, both of those guys make what I assume is millions with YouTube. But when we were looking into actually publishing video, we realized there are solutions within blockchain technology. Imagine that, right? That's relevant to our podcast here. Obviously, one of them, Steem, although that's more written content, but on the same platform, you also have video, audio, and live video publishing platforms. For instance, there's D.Tube, there's D-Live. There's also one for audio. And when I actually took a look at some of the people who are publishing content, whether it's video or even written articles on these publishing sites, they're actually making good amounts of money. Some of them are making thousands of dollars per episode, and obviously there aren't as many people on there. But I think this is one of the, I'm not going to call it a rare occurrence, but this is one of the earlier occurrences or instances where I'm seeing that blockchain technology can be disruptive not just to money, but to other industries, for instance, content production. So I was curious, I think I'll start off with Tay, because you have a little bit of familiarity with Steem. What has your experience been like? Do you think it's something that has the potential to really disrupt content production?
I do. It's not pretty. That's the part about Steem. It's
definitely not.
It's not pretty. It's not the easiest to figure out. It doesn't look like a 2018 website. Looks something more like 98.
The front end is 98. The back end is 2018.
Right. Or beyond 2018. Yeah. But once they figure out the user interface and all that, and it can upgrade, it can get better. It's been getting better slowly. But once that happens, I feel like the people who wait until then are going to be late to the game when it comes to Steem It. Me, myself, I'm not really doing too much on Steem It, but I'm kind of familiar. I have an account. I've made a few posts.
Dipping your toe in.
Right. I kind of know what the whales look like on there. Starting to see what D.Tube and D-Live and everything is going on with that. But still, it's very hard for me to use. We got a guy here, Rob. Hopefully we can get him on sometime. But, I got to refer to people who use Steem It a lot to guide me through, like in person actually, because when I look at it online and the apps that they have for it, eSteem is one app that is usable, but it's limiting in a lot of ways.
Usable? I like how you said it. Usable.
It's usable, but it's limiting in a lot of ways, and some things don't work as well as they should all the time. So I've seen other people, but there's a lot of good projects on there. Met a guy, he said he started I forgot the name of the project, but it's basically for musicians, open mic, that's what it's called, on Steem It. And it's for musicians, and they get on there. And when I say musicians, I mean if you know how to play a guitar or a drum in your house, you post on Steem It.
You'll be one of the best.
Well, it's not that you'll be one of the best, but it's just the fact that there's a community on Steem It for that. So if you do not suck and you get out there and you post something, you playing a guitar, playing a song, whatever.
That's a big if. There's a lot of suck going around.
Well,
like a lot of people are infected with suck.
All I'm saying is there's people who are not musicians, but they know how to play a guitar. They play it in their room, and by the next day they have a few $100s.
Yep.
You feel me? So like that's a new paradigm
Exactly.
for, musicians out there, small bands who are, doing all this stuff to get a gig somewhere, and you can go online right now and post on Steem It or D.Tube or whatever and get paid probably better than you would, struggling at a gig somewhere.
Or definitely on any traditional social media stuff.
Yeah.
So what we're all used to is social media, in which these companies set up platforms in which you contribute and you get none of the monetary benefits.
Yeah.
So someone like Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey from Twitter basically, and their shareholders basically suck in all the value that you or some other people may or may not create.
Right.
And you're going to see, a lot of this stuff might be 15, 20, 30 years before it's time, right? So something, a joke that a lot of people make is about pets.com and the internet, right? You always hear that example. It's almost like the tulip example, right? And pets.com gets made fun of, but their business model is basically selling shit online. They're selling...
What is pets.com?
Pets.com is like it's like a tulip. It's like one of those tulip claim.
No. What he's saying is it's like the call to the bubble, right? Because during the .com bubble, pets.com had a crazy valuation, and then it just bursted.
Yeah. It's like thrown out there as like an epithet. Pets.com. It was like the height of .com euphoria, right? And those guys were actually ahead of their time. They were like. I think a couple of years ago, there was another company that did exactly. They were selling pet stuff online, and they had like a multi-billion-dollar valuation and sold. Did an IPO and stuff like that.
Right.
They came like basically 20 years after Pets.com.
Right.
So a lot of these things, right? We might not see Steem It or any of the things that but the concept is there. We're going to have a peer-to-peer relationship between the person that posts and the people that like it, and they're going to be able to like it in a way that they can pay their content provider, right? Some type of musician, or Tay puts up a post about cryptocurrency, people like it, and he can get directly paid. That just changes the whole relationship of so many different media. Yeah, you've already done it. I know our CEO at Edge has posted on Steem It probably a year or two back, and got maybe $100 worth of Steam bucks. Right. So it's not exactly clear if we're ready for that yet. Like a main, like you said, it's not very usable. There's a lot of different, maybe they don't need a blockchain, right? Maybe I don't know.
But we're also assuming that all of our audience is beginners to crypto. I mean, there's some savvy people out there that are probably all over Steem It.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, there were, what is it called? There's people involved with pets.com made a lot of money. Right. And it wasn't a scam. They were just like, it was kind of, their valuation is overblown. Right. It wasn't necessarily sustainable at the time. There's a lot of things on the internet that needed to be kind of pieced together for that whole thing to work. So you might not be there yet, but we know it's going to happen. Right. And people like us at Kylan that's setting up a podcast is looking for, I mean, you basically have an
looking to get in early. Too.
There's so many options out there, and that are not only out there now, but are developing.
Of course,
or but it might take a few years. That's the only really comment. It'll definitely take some time.
And this whole thing kind of bleeds into my whole belief on like the ICOs as well, because a lot of them are promising a lot of things, and it's good promises, but there's nothing there, my friend. You know what I mean? So like there's some companies out there or some coins out there that are actually doing things already. And that's another form of filtering, I guess, when you're looking at the crypto news, is figuring out who's just blowing smoke and who actually
has an application that's working.
Has an application that's working, or has a company behind them, or has like not just a celebrity or a big name.
A white paper.
Right, or white paper, anything like that, but real substance.
Yeah, Steem is a real deal. They've been around for a while. I've poked around on there, and
they got the most transactions of any blockchain.
Yeah,
their scalability apparently is supposed to be really good.
Who knows? They might be just like what people say. Maybe Bitcoin doesn't do it, but something else. Right. But Steem, it's still going.
Yep,
they're going strong, and it's something that people like Kylan and others are looking into to make a buck.
And it's the second project of Dan Larimer. His first one was BitShares. That's still going strong.
Yeah.
This one, and then EOS is the next one.
Yeah.
But I'm the blockchain they use is a different type of technology. It's not blockchain. I guess it's a
For which
Delegated proof of
you mean
stake for EOS.
for all three of them.
Oh yeah, they're all not pure proof of work type Bitcoin, Litecoin type blockchains. Right?
Yeah,
It's
I
more of
know-
a loose definition of a blockchain.
Yeah, I know for EOS they're using delegated proof of stake so that they can get more bandwidth or so that they can get more transactions per second. One thing I was going to say with stuff like Steem or D.Tube, these essentially what could end up being disruptive applications. I noticed when I was kind of comparing what the hypothetical payout could be for, let's say, a video that gets XYZ amount of views on each platform. And these are just rough calculations, kind of like estimates, but it honestly looked like even though you reach probably quite exponentially less people on something like Steem or D.Tube, the fact that they already have a currency there, obviously that makes it more likely that they will contribute value or money to you. But when I was looking at the payouts, it seems like because YouTube has that middleman, essentially you can get, I want to say, 10 times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times more per user on something like Steem or D.Tube than you would through YouTube. So YouTube, like you said, there are some usability issues with Steem and some of those, but honestly, they actually are relatively, what would I call it? Relatively young projects.
Of course, yeah.
So they are going to be working on usability, and maybe even at some point they move on to a different blockchain, or they'll have competitors. And I think I already see some of that starting to occur. But I do think that there is a big potential there for completely disrupting things and empowering people who are producing content, whether it's artistic or educational or what have you.
Yeah, it's anything that has a middleman. There are entrepreneurs out there looking to wipe you off the face of the earth, right? If you're coming in between someone who's providing value and someone that is accepting that value and wants to pay, people in the blockchain space are being entrepreneurial or trying to wipe you out. So if you're trying to collect rents on something that you set up, you might want to reconsider and maybe
Sell
jump
your
onto
shares.
you might want to jump on another project, right? Because they're coming for your lunch, because
it's coming to an end.
you're not offering much other than a platform on which creators and the people that value them come together. Right. So people are setting that up in a way that no one's taking a fee for that. It's just a direct peer-to-peer transaction.
Right. The other thing about Steem that I wanted to put out there too is you don't actually have to create content. I mean, content can be you taking a picture of some food you like or whatever and posting on Steem it. People have liked pictures like that and no comment whatsoever, and you end up getting, $1. Well, that was months ago. So as the value of Steem goes up, your dollar turns into $3 or $4. But then also you can comment and still earn money. Yep. So somebody could be posting something and you have a detailed comment, and right? Other people like your comment.
The YouTube commenting trolls would love that.
And you can get,
That's the best part of YouTube.
I mean, that's a contribution too, right? Contributions come in different forms.
Exactly. So, and monetizing all those little value added type activities.
If everybody we knew that was on Facebook was on Steem it and they were our friends on Steem it, like there's no way you could be broke because everybody's working for each other. You know what I mean?
I'll also say, even if you're not not everyone is a content provider or should be, right?
Right.
Some of us are better at it than others. But if you look at these things as emerging social networks, and if you were in the early days of Facebook and Twitter, you remember or Reddit, or how amazing those things were, right? And the type of community that it attracted. So it's you're going to get a lot of, I'm not going to say weird, but it's just non-mainstream content on these platforms, right? So some of it's going to be garbage, right? Just like the early days of Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But there's going to be some cool cats, some characters that are, living in Panama, right? Divergent lifestyles that are posting really interesting stuff on there, maybe on evaluating crypto projects or something something they're building, or some type of funny video that they came across and they posted, right? You're going to get a very different community than you'll get on the normie Facebook, Twitter, Reddit type community.
You motivate me, man. I'm gonna up my Steem it game this week. I'm gonna up it. My handle on Steem it, just so y'all know.
I haven't even been on there in like a year, honestly. Yeah. But TAYNAV00 on Steem it. Shout out.
There you
know what I mean? And y'all need
it out.
if y'all ain't on there, y'all need to get on there. y'all need to get on there. And let's all get paid. You know what I mean?
PowerPoint.
I'm glad that's clued together. So one thing, and Brett, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, is for some of the outcasts on some of these, what would you call them? Not even traditional, but already mainstream media sites, whether it's Twitter. Some people are getting in trouble for having hateful speech, stuff like that. These disruptive technologies could actually be an excellent outlet for them. It could give them a second life if they feel like they're getting pushed off of the mainstream outlets. Now, obviously, I don't know how everything works technically with some of these blockchains, but for the most part, they're pretty censorship free. I think if they had anything really bad, they could actually do some sort of consensus, right, to get rid of it, because there are some bad things you really don't want. But in general, there seems to be an era of, okay, let's just hear what you have to say, express yourself. And they also, since it's a blockchain, a lot of times they make it so you can't delete your data either, which is I actually kind of like it.
It seems like when Twitter and Facebook and all the other ones were set up, they were set up kind of like that in that spirit. They set up the platforms like that, but ultimately they are an outgrowth of 20th century institutions like corporations and certain laws, and they've shown the ability to crack down because of various reasons. And it seems like a lot of these new platforms kind of have the First Amendment baked in at the protocol level.
Right.
Right? So people that are freaking out about the First Amendment and FJWs trying to police speech, I'm not really worried about that at all. First, I look at them and they're not really a threat in any way, shape, or form. They just like to yell a lot. And people that value freedom of expression, value the principles of the First Amendment, are building technology to make a lot of those kind of what do they call them, the control left, right, or people that are against speech that's offensive, right? All this stuff is being built. The First Amendment is basically being built into a lot of our tech platforms for media creation. So, like you said, a lot of these outcasts are getting either intellectual outcasts or even just dangerous people in general have an outlet to vent whatever crack theory they have, which I think is healthy to get it out there in the open. And you could see where people are really coming from, right? So.
True.
I like to have that. And like you said, it's hard to delete things, right?
Yeah.
The blockchains are append only, or at least they're supposed to be. So a lot of these products I think the founding fathers of the United States would be like, hell yeah, build an uncensorable social network or, some type of communication tool. Make sure everyone can get out their crazy voice, no matter how hateful or...
Yeah, because sometimes the hateful, weird ones might actually be right.
They might be saying something, right? Socrates was put to death. Jesus Christ was put to death.
Well,
right?
it's just also, once you have something that can't be erased, then you can't have conglomerates get together and erase and rewrite
history, right? Which they've done over...
Something that benefits them and will continue to benefit them for the next couple of centuries,
right?
Unless people figure it out, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the Soviet system was, they did a good job of that.
Of censoring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They did some things right. They did some things not so right, but